All right, so I'm going to share screen again and introduce our next speakers here. So we have with us today Rick Griencewic and then Josh Ratliff from Trafera. So Rick is with HP, and these two are going to talk to us today about computing power users, which I think is a really relevant topic. So much is actually on the hardware side. I personally tend to neglect it a little bit with what I'm saying about software all the time. Hi, Josh.
Hi, I'm one. I don't know if Rick's here yet.
Okay.
But I'm here and happy to be here.
Yeah, you're here. All right, good. Well, I was just saying that a lot, Learning Council was actually founded on the idea. I'm going to put my video on for a second while I'm talking while we're waiting for him. We were founded on the idea of understanding software, So we kind of were ignoring the hardware side. And then, of course, the pandemic happened and hardware just went poof everywhere.
Right.
$4.5 billion worth of it last year alone. Massive thing. And there's still a lot of schools that need more. Like they didn't get everything they needed or they're on back order kind of a thing. Right. But we've always focused on the complexity of the hardware side or the software side because it's messy. It's a bajillion apps. I mean, the average district, even the small ones, has over 1,000 apps in play. Right. So it's a very difficult thing. And then if they don't understand what they're doing with software, they don't understand the impact on the hardware. So right. I'm hoping that we're hearing a little bit about that from you guys today.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I don't know. Maybe you'll be able to see when Rick comes on.
Yeah.
If not, I can maybe introduce myself and the company a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's introduce you guys. What are you all about as a company? And then as Rick joins, we'll throw him into the fray.
Okay. I don't know if I'm seeing the right thing. Is everyone just seeing the introduction slide?
Yeah, it says Trafera on there.
Okay.
Do you see it? It has your picture and then Rick's picture. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I can introduce myself and flag me down if.
And you can screen share if you want.
Oh, I can. Well, I was just going to start my video.
Let's do that. Videos are fun.
I'll tell you though, I've been on for just a few minutes and I'm already so encouraged by so many of the things that I've been hearing. Just by way of introduction, in case you're not familiar with Trafera, we're a new company. So we were formed from Trinity 3 and Firefly Technologies, and we merged, and now we go by a new name, Trafera. And I had the great experience of writing an educational philosophy for our company, and I'll give you the first sentence and the last sentence. The first one says, technology can only change the learning experience when we make people our number one investment. And it seems like it flows so well with what I just heard from Florida Virtual and from so many of the people that attend these sessions is we can have all the technology in the world. And I believe it's a critical component in a modern learning experience. But if we're not empowering educators to make an instructional shift with that technology, what are we doing? We're just buying expensive paperweights. And for us at Trafera, that's the worst case scenario, is to introduce a lot of technology into a school district and then for teaching to still continue to go along the same path that it always has. We want to make sure that we're doing literally everything in our power to empower teachers to make that instructional shift. And the last sentence in the educational philosophy says we measure success not by how many devices we sell to schools, but by what students are doing with those devices that are transforming the learning experience. And so I see Rick just popped on. So I'm hoping that together we can kind of share with you a little bit about not only our educational philosophy, but like we were talking about with the power users and where we see vision kind of moving forward.
Yeah, that's what we're looking forward to hearing from you guys, because you're on the ground seeing what schools see a lot like I do. Like you're actually talking to them every day too. And there he is. So Rick, you're also named Joshua, just so you know. If you go,
excellent. Okay.
You're Joshua too, but you're really Rick.
I am.
All right, so you guys can share screen if you want. And then I'm going to turn off my video and mute myself. So it's going to be all about you. It's going to be like spotlight on you guys for right now. And then I'll come back on for the next session.
So Josh, do you want me just to roll in?
Yeah. I did a little intro, so I'd say take it away.
Okay. All right. So Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rick Griencewic, and I am the Senior Product Manager at HP. My primary responsibility is our feds, supporting our Fed and SLED teams, field sales teams on the commercial notebook side. I've been in this industry for 25 years. I know that I believe that those of you who are attending are from, I was told Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, and Kansas. Well, I got 3 out of the 4 covered. I was born in Sioux City, Iowa. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and my son went to college at Missouri Western. So I don't have the Kansas tie, but I am from your part of the world, and I miss it dramatically, except this time of year. But then I'm in Houston, and we had some really weird weather. But the topic of our discussion today is about computing, and the title is, computing power users. We're going to touch on power users a little bit, but what I want to do is give you some insights into what HP is seeing happening in education right now. We've gone through, literally hell and back here this last 12, 14 months. And, there's a lot of things that I think we've learned, but, there are other things that I think we need to continue to advance in. So we're gonna talk about some of those trends. I've got a few questions for you. I'd like this to be interactive. We're going to get to a couple poll questions, so would love your feedback there. HP is a hardware manufacturer. This isn't going to be a hardware pitch, but I am going to ask you some specific questions about what you buy, who you buy it for, what's most important to you, and just to have a little bit of discussion there. So, this is the slide of the deck. Everything is different. I think one of the points that I think is interesting is that not only 1.5 billion children have been impacted because of the pandemic, as many as 10% of the students have just ghosted. We can't find them. Here in Houston, that number is 15%. And so not only are children being impacted from, being able to learn, whether it's from home, primarily from home, I think that what we're seeing is this, where'd they go and how do we get to them? So that presents a number of different challenges for you. The way we teach, the way we learn, that has changed as well. The need for digital education, having laptops, one-to-one learning, that's very important. And this past year, I think what we've seen is that, we went from a very structured purchasing cycle and requirements from our school districts and learning institutions to get me whatever you can get me, because we need it right now. And I think the CARES Act probably helped facilitate that by providing money to schools that may not have had the money to do this. So it's been a big scramble in the PC world right now. And as you know, if you've ordered anything lately, lead times are crazy. But that's all because of this acceleration in the need for computers within our schools and with our students and our teachers. So, the other point is that we are teaching and learning in any environment. We are seeing a big increase in this blended learning experience. I think what's interesting about that is that, this blended learning experience could be around for, through 2021 into 2022. Its total impact on education, I don't think is really known yet. And we're just kind of, taking it as it comes. Then the other piece that we see that is very important where there are problems is connecting and, connecting and being connected to people. And I think that, that ability to get online, stay online is really, really important. And that's what creates that connection between individuals, students and teachers. So, everybody is struggling. And I think I'd be interested to hear if this statistic up top rings true for you. But 33% of teachers are considering to retire or resign early because this has made it so difficult for them. We're asking teachers, we're asking students, we're asking administrators, and we're asking parents to do things that they've never done before. And it's not easy. So, from a teaching perspective, you're getting all these new types of devices, these new kinds of tools that you're not familiar with, that require training. And in a lot of cases, the training may come from another teacher within the district who is kind of that tech savvy person, or someone from the IT department. Students, again, I talked about the ghosting, the ones that have just fallen off the map, off the grid. But students are more distracted than ever before, especially working in a home environment. I mean, I get the benefit of working in an office with a closed door. Most students don't have that luxury. They're sitting out on the kitchen table, or they're at their desk in their room, or they could be anywhere in the house, and that brings with it its own set of challenges. Not to mention what time of day they're doing their that they're working on their studies. Parents and parents, from a parent perspective, we pretty much ask them to become IT, because, and same with teachers, because now when something goes wrong, the first place students go to are their teachers or to their parents, and neither may be very well equipped to handle that. And then from administrators, your level, keeping schools open, I mean, it's just been a big challenge, and all the things that have come with the COVID-19 pandemic. So everyone's in kind of that same boat right now, and we're here to help you along with Trafera to help get you through it. So as a result, what I was leading up to is now the PC is more essential than ever before. I was, a few years ago, when I was I've been at HP for about 8 years, and I was at, I don't know how old many of you are, but there was a company called Gateway that was in North Sioux City, South Dakota, and I worked there for 14 years. But back then, early on, they were saying, well, the PC's dead, right? Everything's going to be on your smartphone. Everything is it's getting smaller. It's we're going to use tablets, all that kind of stuff. Well, what we found out is that the PC is essential, and now more than ever before. Whether it's how we work, where we're learning, we're seeing increases now because with people at home, gaming has really taken off, and even gaming as a sport, esports in colleges, that's really starting to increase. And now, I got a scholarship to play basketball back in the day. Well, now kids are getting scholarships to play video games. It just blows me away. So that has changed, and then of course healthcare has changed as well. Home health, telehealth, and but it's just we're starting. People who typically use their phone most of the time, which are those Gen Z and Gen Yers, are now having to use that PC more than ever before. So what do students need? I think that when we look at our student base, we have to segment it, and we segment our end users by creating personas, and these personas put you in the day in the life of a person and the type of work they do. Well, we do the same thing with our students and with our teachers and with our administrators. We know that the needs for an elementary student are much different than a high school student. Elementary, maybe Chrome focused, or even Apple using tablets. You start graduating up to 11-inch PCs that could be running Chrome or Windows, and then you move up into the high school ranks where they may be using the same device as the middle schools, but the type of work that they're doing may require a more high-powered device that'll help keep them productive. So we look at these different segments, and then we look at teaching too. What's the faculty using? What do they need? With all these video calls, conferencing calls, and having multiple applications open, one of the things we're finding is that the 4 gig Chromebook may not have all the power that you need, say, for a high school or middle school student. So, and I'm not trying to pick sides between Chrome or Windows. We obviously cater to both and have a very robust product line that features both products. But so segmentation's key. But then within that segmentation, you have in the high school ranks, these power users, and I really look at it kind of it links back to STEAM, and the types of classes that these students are taking, the things that they are doing with it. For me, back, I'm aging myself here, but we used to have graph paper, and we used to do our, create our drawings on graph paper. Well, now students are using things like AutoCAD, and they're doing a lot of video editing and audio editing, and things that we just never dreamed of. But in order to do that, they need the power and performance to really, keep them productive. And that's why we do offer a wide range of products that address those needs. And I think that there are different types of products for different types of users, and the power users really, I think, require something that is at a much higher level, in addition to students, in addition to your administrators and staff. So I guess the first question that I have is, do you provide your students and teachers with higher performing PCs, or is it just one size fits all? You get what you get. This is what we do. So I would be open. We don't have a formal survey thing here that I can have you click on the button, but I would like to open that up, get some insights there. And whoops, maybe it's in the chat. Well, we can come back to that. Sorry, a little technical glitch here. So that's one thing I'm interested in feedback from you. I threw this in there. It just because we're talking about operating systems a little bit, and what I wanted to show you, and this is specific to the U.S. market, and it's from IDC. It came out earlier this year, and it just shows that Chrome adoption is on the increase here in the last few months. Windows is still king. If you look at the year over year, Windows is still at 64%. Chrome's at 30%. And then you see Mac OS down at 7%. These numbers, I think, are very, they're very consistent. But what it doesn't show is that picture. Things are starting to change. And again, I think this is because of the pandemic. We've had to really scramble to get devices into the hands of our students. And in a lot of cases, Chrome was the best option that was available. When I look at Windows, though, I still see it as having a very important part or place in the market, and I don't see it going away. I don't see Chrome eventually becoming 40 or 60 or 70% of the market, but that's just me. So the other thing that we can talk about, and maybe when Josh jumps on here in a second, is when you are considering in that purchase decision, what are the biggest factors that come into play? And it used to be price. I mean, it was I want this Chromebook. It's going to be $200 or $249. I want 1,000 of them. What we're finding now is based on that type of segmentation, and what we're seeing is that there are other factors that could be important as well. So design, how it looks, the mobility of the product. Is it, is it an X360? Is it a 2-in-1? Is it a clamshell? Performance, which includes battery life, operating system. And then one that I really like to talk about is security and privacy. We look at security today as, well, some people will lump security and privacy together, and they're two separate things. Security is about keeping your data safe. Privacy is about keeping your identity safe. And, so we're looking at different technologies that will help preserve the privacy of students, whether it's virtual backgrounds that are always up so you can't see what's going on in the house, to having, hardware-based security that provides additional layers of protection for the endpoint. So these are some things here, considerations that, again, I'd like to get some feedback on. We did do our own study, and this was with IT professionals within the education segment. And it was really telling, because you can see the variances based on segment. From a ruggedization perspective, Josh and I were talking about this yesterday. This is not a surprise. Junior high kids are going to try to destroy things just to destroy things. And so rugged is number one on the list. Whereas when you get to the high school ranks, performance is most, very high, more so than middle school and elementary. But design, how it looks, that becomes important as well. And then security and privacy, again, for an IT administrator, again, the ability to connect, securely. We know that education is a huge target within the cybercrime community. Ransomware is rampant, and phishing attacks and all that. And you get a whole new set of challenges when you have this distributed education setting where you've got people working from multiple locations, and they may not be practicing the same level of, say, cyber hygiene as they would if they were contained in one environment. So, we don't have a lot of time here today. I wanted to really save some time for some questions. But HP is really committed to education. This is our primary vertical market outside of business and consumer, and we're making some significant investments. And this is, there's some really interesting things that we're doing in terms of our refresh program, which allows individuals to donate computers, and we give them the tools to reflash and repurpose those, all the way to equipping students and teachers, with new tools in our Girl Rising partnership. So, we're going to continue to look for solutions for you to help ease the pain. We want to get from that survival mentality to a thriving mentality, where you do feel comfortable and are making a difference. So with that, I'll bring in Josh. I'm sure we have a few questions here.
Yeah, I have one question, Josh and Rick, and that is, our research is showing there's a high interest in the higher power machines on campus for esports and all the CTE learning. And there's some schools who are actually saying they're just going to go to the higher power machines and walk away from, Chromebook level. What are you guys looking at in that regard?
Well, I think from our perspective, what we see is we do see an increase in Chrome. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We're selling a lot of Chromebooks. But the other thing that, as we talk to different school districts, like I had a conversation with Houston ISD, and I also had a conversation with LA Unified School District. They're really looking at accelerating that move to higher end technology, because what they're finding out as you progress in the grades, you're doing more, and systems are simply bogging down. I mean, if you're running a Zoom call and you have 3 or 4 different applications open, or you have a number of different tabs on your browser, and depending on the pipe coming into your house, you may not have the power to keep you going. And so we do see that move happening. And then the reality too is that students are not only using these devices for learning, but they are using it for things like recreation, entertainment, gaming, streaming video, and content. So we do see that move happening. That trend starting to occur.
Yeah, Rick, I was going to see if I could just jump in here. I know that we had some questions, but I also just wanted to make a couple of comments as well. Could you bring down the screen share so we can all see each other?
Absolutely.
I was going to mention something before I get to the questions, and that is there was a couple of things that I saw in your slides that really stuck out to me. Number one was the talking point around 33% of teachers are considering an early retirement or transitioning out of the education field. Man, that is so heartbreaking. For me, I can tell you, it doesn't seem like it was that long. I finished my undergrad in 2006, and even that seems like recent history to me. But even that long ago, I can tell you, we weren't talking about distance learning. I mean, we weren't talking about teaching in a pandemic. We weren't talking about having one-to-one technology and saturated, learning environments with technology like we have now. And I feel like there's a big part of me that says, the world that I teach in today is not the world that I prepared for in undergrad. And the reason I brought it up is because I've been doing training on this. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Oh, yeah. We've read that too. That was a required reading.
I'll tell you. And this was mentioned actually maybe it was Florida Virtuals or Renaissance. They both played really compelling videos, and there was growth mindset mentioned in both of them. And I can tell you that this month, starting March, it says the mantra for March says mistakes are opportunities for learning. And I just feel like this is so applicable not only to students, because not a lot of times when I'm thinking about growth mindset, I think about how to teach growth mindset to students. But every time I pick up this book or anything else on growth mindset, I spend more time applying it to myself and thinking about how, this is a challenging world that we're teaching in right now, but we can do it. We can do it. We changed our whole industry in a matter of a couple of months to switch and do something that we were not prepared to do. And I think if there's something to be said there about just a word of encouragement, there was a legend. I don't know if this is true or not, but they say that the Formula 409, the household cleaner that's probably under the kitchen, if you go look under the sink, you'll see a cleaning product there called 409. The reason it's called that is because it was the 409th version of that formula before they got a product that they could take to market. So they tried 408 times before they got it right. And I feel like there's somebody that's probably tried 407 times and you're ready to just throw in the towel. And
it's like Edison and the light bulb, right?
Yeah,
on
exactly.
The 1000th time you got it right.
Yeah. Well, one other thing, and then I'm going to pitch to the questions. We talked a lot about how much screen time that students are getting right now. And I was really fortunate in the job that I had previous to this, when I started a research project. I've been working on this thing for 2.5 years now on the a phenomenon of technology addiction among students. And this is something that we do a little bit of brain research to talk about dopamine release and that kind of thing. But I see now, since the pandemic, that conversation is even shaping up a little bit more different than what it was when I first started it, because we have students at home that are using technology devices for whatever purpose after school, but then we have a lot of during school time where they're connected through their device as well. And so if that's helpful to anyone on the call, I'll put my email address in the chat, and you guys can chat with me that way, and I can share the research material that I have with you on that topic. But I also wanted to get to a couple of questions that I was just jotting down, if you don't mind, Rick. One was about technology fluency, because we were talking a little bit about operating systems, and the teacher in me says that it's best for students to have exposure to a lot of different operating systems and different technology uses, because it's easy for us to say, well, students will be using blah 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 in the real world, but that kind of depends upon the student's path, right? So if we're going to do it right, we need to have exposure to a lot of different platforms, be it operating systems with Chrome and iOS and Windows. And I know you shared a slide that had the market share for education. Do you have any insight on what market share looks like for business?
Oh, worldwide business. It's complete. It's a completely different scenario, because this is where Windows rules.
Yeah.
Microsoft rules. It's 80%.
Wow.
The worldwide. Where you see the Chrome bump happen is in the United States. The U.S. is driving Chrome adoption. You get outside of the U.S. And adoption is very small.
Yeah, sure.
The other, so that's the first part. We also see Mac OS, Mac OS is probably in that 10% within a business environment, and we do see a lot of companies that will use both Mac and Windows. We don't see a lot of companies right now using Chrome.
Yeah.
Although Google is really pushing that to create tools and manageability that would allow you to integrate within a Chrome environment better. I think that I would agree with you that having that fluency in with all three different operating systems would be a really good thing. Now, if I'm on the IT side of it, I'm going, holy cow, how do I manage three different operating systems, three different images, all the different challenges that that would present to them. And so the reality is that what we typically see is, and we're on the PC side. So, but what we'll see Apple being used in the, kindergarten, first, second grade, and then you graduate up to Chrome, and then from Chrome you go to Windows. Well, the other thing that we've seen through this pandemic, though, is that it doesn't matter what the OS is. If you can get me the device, I need it today. So they're being forced to be fluent.
I saw something that was posted in the chat by Abby, and it made me think of another question. And I hope it's okay if Abby, if I expand on that maybe a little bit with tapping into this idea. But one of the things that Trafera does exceptionally well is warranty support. And again, so just in case you're on the call and we haven't met, I'm with Trafera, but I think of myself more as an educator than anything else. And I love the fact that we do warranty support the way we do, because I've been in the classroom where I'm trying to deliver instruction and 2/3 of the classroom have broken computers. And so that's a nightmare for me as a lesson planner, as someone who's trying to facilitate instruction. So I wonder, in terms of durability, especially in middle school, but really it happens across K-12. Is there anything that HP is doing specifically to make sure that we're making very durable devices that are going to, work and survive the middle school trauma? And also, maybe something on, I think you guys call them care packs, but maybe on your, warranty support. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, from the device perspective, durability is number one. I think that within the 12 arena, it almost trumps everything else. You need devices that are going to last for that 3 to 4 years. And so we do a lot of things that help improve the durability and reliability. On our business side, we do some mill standard testing. This is what the government uses, and it's to the mill standard 810H. we test our device. There are 19 separate tests that we put our devices through, and including drop tests. And we design our Chromebooks and our Windows education devices to withstand a 3-foot drop on the onto concrete and a 4-foot drop onto plywood. We reinforce corners. We have pick-proof keyboards. We have, a spill-proof keyboards as well. So if something gets dumped on it, the surface covering of the notebook itself is made out of a rigid material that is easy to grip. So we're looking for things, different surfaces, surface treatments. In addition, one of the things that we've done isn't really specific to durability, and maybe it is a little bit, but all of our devices are sanitizable, and
Right.
and you can disinfect those up to 1,000 cycles, which is designed to emulate a 3-year period of a wipe a day. But you can wipe down the keyboards, you can wipe down the displays, you can wipe down the chassis. So, but the durability and reliability, that's number one on our list. And if you've ever seen one of our laptops, you'll really see the difference between that and say on a corporate or enterprise box.
That's awesome. I think with only 2 minutes left, I think we should turn it back over to Learning Council. I'm replying to a statement that Chris put in the chat, but I think other than that, we can turn it back over to you guys.
Okay, well, thanks. I do want to make one last comment. Yesterday, we showed the statistics on what is screen time.
Let him respond to what Chris said live.
Oh, yeah. So Joshua, I think you were going to respond to what Chris said first.
Yeah, I just threw it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
No, I would be interested to see where you were going with that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a big study done in Europe, 120,000 15-year-olds reviewed for screen time. And you're not supposed to exceed 4.5 hours of passive screen learning a day. Right. And 2 hours of that obviously should be reserved for after school activity, when they're playing games and stuff. So really you only have 2.5 hours of passive you should be using. The rest of the time, as long as it's active, like the kids writing an essay, they're doing a small group activity together, or it's truly an active session rather than just like I'm watching something or I'm sitting in on a lecture. Yeah. That's the difference. So it could be like the full school day, you're using a screen for something, but it shouldn't all be passive is the main point. Because that's where screen learning gets its bad reputation, but it's really no different than the days of television, right? Like we were all from the generation that had 6 hours of TV a day and nobody, nobody made it. Well, some people made a big deal of that, but it's like, well, what's the big diff? I mean, the real big diff actually that needs to be pointed out is that there's a ton of software and things you do together with the screen that, like even what we're doing right now.
Right.
It's not, it's not entirely passive. So thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you. This has been an honor.